Morning. Our next session is application of fluid power. Application of fluid power, which means that where the fluid power is applied. We have already discussed in the application of hydraulic and the pneumatic power system. Examples of hydraulic and pneumatic power system. But this is the presentation or the notes given in your textbook. Machine tools. Machine tools means in large industries, lathe, milling machine, drilling machine, and another type of large machine uses the hydraulic system for fixing the tool and removing the tool and safeguarding the machine from the other environment, etc., and loading, unloading purposes. And farm machinery, tractors is an example. Construction machinery, JCB, forklift, crane, mining machinery, that's for drilling the large holes through large depth, and locomotives in trains, the air brake, ships, airplanes, in airplanes, the landing system and spacecraft operations, working of hydraulic shaper, as we are already explained, the movement, hydraulic lift, hydraulic thrust, hydraulic crane, hydraulic jack, and ram. It is known as the ram, hydraulic ram. The purpose of the hydraulic ram is to lift water from a low head to high head without using electricity. That is the purpose of the hydraulic ram. Advantages of fluid power. High pressure can be operated in hydraulic system. Transmission of motion is less noisy than that of mechanical devices. In mechanical devices, we use belts, gears, chains, etc. for transmitting motion. Therefore, there will be some kind of noises. And accurate speeds are possible. Vibration and shock can be reduced. Maintenance is simple and less costly, but it is actually not 100% clear. Maintenance is something difficult and it's something costly. It does not require complicated mechanism, that's sure. The parts of machines are automatically lubricated in hydraulic system, but in pneumatic system, the pneumatic air is lubricated before entering to the system. Purpose of hydraulic fluids. Here we are explaining what are the purpose, what are the works done by the hydraulic fluids, that is oils used in the hydraulic system. That is power transmission. The initial purpose or the primary task is power transmission. That is used to transmit power mechanically throughout a hydraulic power system. To ensure stable operation of components, the fluid must flow easily and must be incompressible. That means the fluid is stored in the collecting tank, which is used to move some load on the other side, that is in the outer. Therefore, the fluid stored in the tank is sucked by the pump and transmitted to the different areas through pipes. And finally, it is used for doing some work. That is, the pressure energy is transmitted into the mechanical energy. And the second one is the lubrication. We know that lubrication, it is the process of reducing the friction here, and it must have a lubricating characteristic and qualities necessary to produce hydraulic system components hydraulic system components against friction, wear, rust, oxidation, corrosion, and demulsibility. We can explain all these terms. Everybody know what is friction. When there is a moving part, there is some kind of friction. Wear means some uh, deterioration taking place in the product. Rust is the product of oxidation. Oxidation is the reaction with the atmospheric air with the iron. Corrosion is the product of oxidation, and demulsibility. It's an opposite of emulsification. That we can discuss later. Sealing is another important property. We can see seals in our water tapes to avoid the leakage of water. See that? There are seals in the form of rubber bushes. But how can we provide a sealing in a hydraulic valve? There is no provision for providing the bushers or some kind of seals, etc. Here, the hydraulic fluid acts as a seal itself. That is explained here. The components like control valve operates with high tight clearance, where seals are not provided. Seals means the seals like the product of made up of rubber or some other material. Hydraulic fluid must provide the seal between the low pressure side and the high pressure side of the valve port. Port is the opening. The amount of leakage will depend upon the closeness or tolerances between the adjacent surface and fluid viscosity. So the hydraulic fluid is acts as a best sealing ability because of in two opposite side of the valve, the pressure is different. Both the pressure acts on the walls of the valves. Therefore, the leakage chances are very much reduced by the property cooling. When there is friction, the heat is generated. The heat generated is carried out from that position to somewhere the convenient area. So this point, we are using the cooling property. So it must be capable of removing heat generated throughout the system. And the next important term is the properties of hydraulic fluid. From this area, there may be questions for 6 marks or maybe 2 marks. For 6 marks, they give the questions, what are the properties of hydraulic fluid? Explain any 4. Or for 2 marks, specifically noted some hydraulic fluid properties and ask the question to explain that one. A basic explanation. Use of clean, high quality fluid in order to achieve efficient hydraulic system requires some desired characteristic. The desired characteristic is the viscosity index. We know what is viscosity. Viscosity is the resistance to flow. When a fluid, example ghee, when ghee heated, what happens? The viscosity decreases. Or when the ghee cooled, the viscosity increases, which means that viscosity depends upon the temperature. Normally, viscosity increases when the temperature increases, viscosity decreases, temperature increases, and viscosity increases when the temperature decreases. But the viscosity index is a measure of fluid's internal resistance offered to the flow. Here, we are explaining high level of viscosity level. What happens? may not be able to pass through the pipe. That is, the oil cannot be able to pass through the pipe. In hydraulic system, working temperature is increased due to internal friction because of low fluid in motion, and power consumption is also increased. Then what happens for the low viscosity of fluids in pipe? The internal and external leak will increase. This may hazards to the system, may hazards to the peoples working around the environment, and loss of lubricating property will lead to rapid wear of the moving parts. So what is viscosity index? Viscosity index is the rate of change of viscosity with temperature. You mean that? The viscosity index is the rate of change of viscosity with temperature is indicated on an arbitrary scale, is known as viscosity index VI. The lower the viscosity index, greater the variation in viscosity with change in temperature and vice versa. That viscosity index is lower, the fluid viscosity change is more when the change in temperature, and the viscosity index is high, the fluid has only a lower change in the viscosity with change in temperature. Then oxidation stability. We know oxidation, that is, oxidation is caused by a chemical reaction between the oxygen of dissolved air and the oil. That is, the oil may contain the moisture. The moisture means water. Water is a component of oxygen and hydrogen. Therefore, there may be a chance of presence of oxygen. It creates impurities like sludge, insoluble gum, and soluble acidic products. Soluble acid product causes corrosion, and insoluble products make the operation sluggish. Sluggish means it's come just like a slow process. And also, there are some dirts accumulated in the passages, dirt accumulated in the passages of the valves and the pipes, etc. The rise of the system temperature accelerates the oxidation. Therefore, what happens? Therefore, the temperature must be maintained in the system at a particular level. What happens if the temperature changes? Below 55 degrees Celsius, the oxidation is low. And above 65 degrees, what happens? For every 9 degrees Celsius, rise the system temperature. And the life of oil is decreased by 50%. Therefore, the safest temperature is 50 degrees Celsius, and the best working temperature is 30 degrees Celsius for the hydraulic fluid. So, maintain the temperature of the hydraulic fluid at around 38 degrees Celsius. If the temperature goes above 65 degrees Celsius, an oil cooler must be installed to reduce the temperature to 38 to 40 degrees Celsius. Demulsibility. Before explaining demulsibility, first of all, we have to know what is emulsion and emulsification. That is, emulsion is a mix of two compounds. Example in paints. Most of the outer wall paints are emulsions. Emulsions are the mix of two. That is, it is the ability of an hydraulic fluid to separate rapidly from the moisture and successfully resist emulsification is known as demulsibility. That is, it is an opposite nature of emulsification. Emulsification means joining or dissolving two compounds, but demulsification is to resist the emulsification. If it emulsifies, it has a tendency to liberate from the parent solution. That is demulsibility. The oil emulsifies with water. The emulsion will promote the destruction of lubricating value and sealant properties, means sealing properties. High refined oil are basically water resistant by nature, but it is costly. Then lubricity. We now know what is the function of lubrication. Lubrication reduces friction. So, where results in increased clearance, which leads all sort of operational difficulties, including fall of efficiency. When there is a wear and tear, there is a reduction in the efficiency of the system. So we provide lubricants in moving parts. The fluid selector should be able to lubricate the moving parts efficiently. For this purpose, we are adding some additive into the fluid to improve its lubricating property. Rust prevention, it's sure. Due to the presence of moisture, air, moisture, water content, oxidation takes place. The result of oxidation is the rust. So the next thing is to prevent the rust formation. The moisture entering into the hydraulic system with air causes the part made ferrous material to rust. So passing through the precision, if the rust forms, it passing through the precision made pumps, that is to the minute parts of the pumps and valves. These are made very, very precisely. Therefore, if it passes through it, scratch, there is a possibility of scratch. And if this scratch produces rust, scratch becomes rust. For this purpose, the additives called inhibitors are added to the oil to keep the moisture away from the surface. 4 points. This is one of the very important property of fluid. That is 4 point. The temperature at which an oil will congeal is referred to as the 4 points. You can say in other words, the lowest temperature at which the oil is able to flow easily. Take the same example. The coconut oil can flow in this atmosphere, that is in our region, around 30 degrees temperature. But we go to a cold area where the temperature is below 10, what happens? The coconut oil is not able to flow. But there is a range in between 32 degree to 10 degree at which the oil ceases to flow. That is, the flow of oil is ceased, that is stopped. That is the temperature known as 4 points. This is very important where the hydraulic system is used in cold places like Europe, like our Northeast in winter seasons, etc. That is very important in cold countries where the system are exposed to very low temperature. And the second one is flashpoints. Before going to the details of a flashpoint, take kerosene and petrol. When we introduce a flame in front of a petrol, it suddenly catches fire and completely exposed. That is, the petrol vaporizes itself and catches fire. But what happens in kerosene? There is no suddenly catching fire. And in case of diesel, when we inserted a burning flash in a diesel, there is no fire. The fire taken place in diesel only when its temperature is increased and start to vaporize. Therefore, vapor formation is very important in flashpoints. We can look. It is the temperature at which a liquid gives off vapor. This of vapor means vapor is produced in sufficient quantity to ignite momentarily or flash when a flame is applied. That is the case in petrol. Then fire point. The minimum temperature at which the hydraulic fluid will catch fire and continuous burning. It is fire point. The minimum temperature. See the petrol, diesel. So petrol is ignited, burned very easily at a low temperature. But diesel ignite only when the temperature is much more. That is the fire point, the minimum temperature at which the hydraulic fluid will catch fire. And neutralization number, it is a measure of acidity or alkalinity of a hydraulic fluid. And it is referred to as a pH value of the fluid. This can be proved through some experiments. High acidity causes the oxidation, everybody know. Write in an oil to increase the rapidly. And there is an experiment is also given. And a weighted amount of sample and a titration solvent is titrated with a standard alcoholic potassium hydrochloric solution to a definite end point. The indicator is alpha naphtholbenzene solution. The color changes from one orange to green, blue to green, and the neutralization number is equal to total milliliter of titrating solution into 5.61 divided by the weight of sample used. You just write the definition. What is neutralization number? And this is not necessary to go to the experiment. Thank you. Thank you for the information. And from the basic of the introduction, we have studied many things. I am going to discuss the topics once again. We almost covered the a first chapter. So we can revise the items one by one. First of all, what is hydraulics and pneumatics? Hydraulics is the study of fluid. Pneumatics is also study of fluid with air forces. In hydraulics, oil is used as a medium, but in pneumatics, air as a medium. And what is the power hydraulics? What is the function of power hydraulics? Where is the power hydraulics is used? What are the examples of the power hydraulics? What are the basic laws behind the power hydraulics? That is Pascal's law and Bernoulli's law. Then comparison between hydraulic system and pneumatic system. The uses of hydraulic fluid, function of hydraulic fluids, and the properties of hydraulic fluids. These are the main topics that we have covered in this section. And we are going to plan our online classing as per the proceeding or direction. First, hear the sounds and the videos and take the dictation of the notes, and it's take some time. Note the important points on your notebook. So take a notebook and note very important points according to your syllabus, which was uploaded in your Google Classroom. And after a duration of some time, an assignment is given. So you have to answer the assignment through Google Classroom. Before that, we can arrange a online discussion for 15 to 20 minutes in Google Meet. After you are studying the material. First of all, I am concluding that first study the material, take the notes, take the important points, and then a discussion in Google Meet with your doubts, clarification, etc. After that, we'll give you an assignment, submit the assignment with the prescribed period. The attendance will be taken at the period of discussion in Google Meet. Thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you.